Though my options in regards to portable gaming have only increased over the years, I find myself going back again and again to my good old trusty PSP. Well, the PSPgo, to be more precise. Now, it's not the most powerful portable emulation solution I own. That merit goes to the almost comically overpowered ROG Phone 2, which might actually be more beefy than the computer you're using to watch this very video. As a quick aside, I know that a comment like this gets the PC gamers lolling about their Ryzen Threadrippers or whatever, and it reminds me of a comment I read on YouTube the other day about how people with crazy gaming PCs act like everyone has a crazy gaming PC, when in reality, most people watching this video are likely rocking a 10-year-old HP laptop they got back in college. My point being, yes, sounds crazy, but the ROG Phone 2 is literally more powerful than a lot of legit computers out there. It's nuts. Anyway, the PSPgo is also not the smallest emulation device in my retro gaming arsenal. That would be my Game Boy Micro with a flash card. Now, as someone who has struggled with ADHD his entire life, I love being able to bust out something like this at a moment's notice, no matter where I am. People with this condition usually have a real hard time dealing with boredom and low stimulation, so something that can easily fit in any pocket, no matter where I go, is a lifesaver. In case you've wondered why portables are such a big deal for me, now you know. So, where some might find this level of portability downright ridiculous or unnecessary, I think, what wouldn't I have given to have something like this as a kid? And the PSPgo is also not the most versatile portable emulation console one could get. That would probably be the GPD XD, which, with pretty decent internals, dual analogs, 4 shoulder buttons, and Android, can not only emulate pretty much anything up to the Dreamcast, but can also do a bunch of other cool stuff too, like streaming PC games, watching media, fighting strangers on Twitter, you name it.
Man, Twitter's the best. What? No, Justin, f you!
So the PSPgo is not the most powerful, the most portable, or the most versatile, but it is in this Goldilocks zone where it ticks enough boxes to make it my everyday emulation go-to. So I wanted to show you what I've been playing on my PSP these days. Depending on how this video goes, I might make this into like a regular segment. First off, Patchwork Heroes. Originally titled 1 Million Ton Bara Bara when it came out in Japan, this game is such an underrated gem, you probably won't find a lot of people mentioning it as their favorite PSP game ever. And that's a real bummer if you ask me. In Patchwork Heroes, you control a team of plucky local adventurers who take to the skies to defend their homes from invading airships. The way you fight them off is by climbing the exterior of the attacking vessels and cutting away sections of the ships which look like they were made out of felt, construction paper, and other assorted art class supplies. There's a reason it's called Patchwork Heroes, and that visual identity is strikingly unique. So that's the gist of the game. Cut away enough of the ship within the allotted time and you disable it, thus saving the town. Then move on to the next ship. Rinse, repeat. The gameplay in Patchwork Heroes reminds me a lot of Quicks for the Game Boy, in that the goal is to cut away sections of the playing field while avoiding enemy elements which will kill you, and also keeping a close eye on the risk-reward balance. Is it worth it to overextend your reach to cut away a large portion of the map that will certainly secure your win? Should you go bold and try to eliminate a big chunk of the map at once in a hurry? Or do you play it safe, chipping away smaller sections at the risk of timing out? As you progress in the levels, the ships become more elaborate, with enemies who will try to fight you off or featuring sections that are cutaway proof, so the game becomes a lot more strategic. It's one of those easy to play, tough to master games. And it can get pretty hectic too. You can only see so far ahead of your little dudes, and at times you only find out that trying to tackle a certain part of the ship was a tactical mistake when it's already too late, which will force you to retry certain ships again and again several times until you finally get it right, usually with seconds left on the clock. There are enemies that attack you with projectiles, some that actually fix the invading airship as you try to cut them up, which gets really challenging. You also get less and less time to complete the missions, so it gets pretty intense. Even though each map only takes about a few minutes to complete, I mean, once you know what you're doing, because you're going to be doing those several times over. It's a great game when you don't have that much time to play. Patchwork Heroes flew so low under the radar when it came out. Just to give you an idea, I believe that's the only game I've ever covered on my channel that doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Now that's obscure. You gotta check it out. If you're a PSP fan like me, you have to play it. I think you're going to really love it. Next, Super Mario World 2. The world of ROM hacks isn't exactly new, and few titles have seen more creativity at the hands of the modding community than my all-time favorite Super Mario World. In fact, even I have messed around with hacking that game.
Don't tell the Nintendo lawyers, but
when I started my main channel way back in 2008, I actually altered a Super Mario World level to spell out the name of the show, which was HBD TV, itself the purported TV counterpart to my sort of successful comedy blog, which would eventually, where is it? It's right here. Which would eventually become my book. It's in Portuguese, so you can't read it, so just don't worry about it. Keep in mind, this was back in 2008, so it gave me a tremendous and kind of stupid sense of dumb pride that people had no idea how I was able to insert the name of the show into the game. Also, this goes so far back, I actually filmed my laptop screen to capture the footage. That's how lo-fi things used to be on YouTube back then. I could get away with doing that. In fact, it was this camera right here. Check it out. It's this camera right here. It's framed. Come to think of it, and I think I might have mentioned this on the channel before, I owe a lot of my YouTube career to Sony because I used the Sony camera to make videos about the Sony PSP edited on Sony Vegas. Of course, my little foray into ROM hacking was a far cry from what these very, very talented modders are able to do these days. And new Super Mario World 2 by ROM hacker Pink Gold Peach is among the finest and most thorough works of video game modification I have ever seen in my entire life. To say this dude completely reinvented Super Mario World is putting it mildly. There are entire new gameplay mechanics like wall jumping, new environments, new music, new graphics, a whole new overworld, new enemies, old enemies who behave in new creative ways. Even the UI itself, while still very Super Mario World-y, has been subtly modified with a certain level of attention to detail that really shines. Like, if I gave you this game back then, you would have thought that Nintendo actually made this. This is about as close to an actual direct sequel to Super Mario World as I have ever seen. And did I mention its part is balls? Oh, shit. Oh, no. God damn it. No! No! I forgot that thing exploded. There we go. Oh, really? It got me way up there? Oh, f***. Oh, f*** you, man. Oh! Oh, fuck's sake! With things like Super Mario Maker, the idea of revisiting the Super Mario World environment with new levels and gameplay mechanics is more mainstream than ever, sure, but I still hella appreciate the effort put into this ROM hack. It's like, dude, it's top notch. Just think about it. This guy did all of this by himself for free. That's love. Plus, as I mentioned, this ROM hack has this intricately, oh my god, it's gonna be a hard one, this script. And I wrote this. Why did I write these difficult words? Plus, as I mentioned, there's this actual intricately designed overworld map, which goes a long way in making new Super Mario World 2 feel like an actual legitimate Mario game than just playing a bunch of loose, disconnected levels you downloaded in Super Mario Maker 2 on the Switch. I'm not trying to knock Super Mario Maker, don't get me wrong, I'm just saying this feels more like a game, whereas a lot of Super Mario Maker levels play more like some kid in Japan made this to personally mock me for my poor Mario skills. You know what I'm talking about. And finally, Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, better known as Donkey Kong 94. I've covered DK94 here on the channel before, or rather, Shane from Re-Res TV did in my massive MCU-style retro gaming collab from back in February. You should really check that video out. I think it's great work. The link is going to be in the description. Donkey Kong 94 was a port of the arcade classic for the original Game Boy, with an interesting twist gaming companies probably wouldn't dare to do these days. At first glance, DK94 is nothing more than a straight-up port of the arcade game. However, upon beating those 4 classic levels, which in the arcade would just endlessly loop, a much more massive puzzle platformer opens up. It's still, in essence, the same game, just far more elaborate, a lot more moves, gameplay elements, enemies, items, just a total overhaul of the concept. In total, there are 97 new levels spread across 9 distinct worlds with intricate intricate boss battles and everything. The game also had battery saves, so you weren't expected to beat it all in one sitting, which would have been impossible, though that was pretty common in Game Boy games back then. Despite having one specific level that is downright impossible to beat without looking it up on YouTube, like you have to get an item that's actually invisible in the map, you can't see it, and then you have to place that item in a specific pixel in the map. It's maddening. This level is far behind me in my playthrough, so I can't remember which one it was, but what I can tell you is this. When I finally broke down and just looked it up on YouTube, the comment section were all saying pretty much the same thing. How the f was I supposed to know that? And that's when you know. Unfortunately, the emulator I use for Game Boy games on the PSP doesn't show me how much time I've put into DK94, but I know it must have been a good 10 hours or so. But then again, take into account I'm pretty dumb. You also may have noticed that DK94 looks a bit more colorful than your average Game Boy game, and that's because the cartridge was optimized for the Super Game Boy, an accessory that allowed you to play Game Boy games using your SNES, and that added some colors to some portions of the game, but of course, you already knew that. Like, who doesn't know the Super Game Boy by now? If you did, if this is news to you, let me know in the comments. Because I guess there's got to be at least like 2 guys. But like I said, that's what I've been playing on my PSPgo lately. If you guys like content like this, let me know, because this could seriously be an ongoing series here on the channel. If you like this video, as always, this is the part in the video that I say the same thing that every YouTuber says. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. That super helps out. You have no idea, seriously. It takes you 1 second to like hit the like or leave a comment, but it helps me out. I read every single comment people post on my channel. Yes, every single comment. Even if you go back and post comments in older videos, I read those. Honestly. Like, try me. Go back to like my first video, leave a comment, I'll reply to it. I promise you. That's the izzynobre promise. Follow me on social media if you don't already. I'm very active over there on both Twitter and Instagram. You can see what I do behind the scenes here, and it's cool. It's pretty cool. And that's all the time I have for today. I'm Izzy, and I'm done. And I'm sweating, Jesus. And